Hello everyone, and hope you're having an amazing day. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you're a seasoned subscriber, welcome back. My name is Kathy and I upload videos strictly on TSC, FSGS, and a little bit of fashion and accessory for fun. On Mondays are my videos on fashion, on Wednesdays are my videos of health checks, all related to TSC and FSGS. If you're interested in either topic, then you're in the right place. Please click the subscribe button, come join in the fun. I really look forward to comments and just give me your input on any topic that we discuss. And again, thank you so much for joining. So let's get today. My focus is going to be on TSC and how it impacted my youngest daughter. And she was diagnosed with tumors in the brain. So one of the big major scares that we dealt with back in, I think it was about 5 years ago. So you're looking about 2019 around there. So during that time, we had a pretty big scare. Now we're gonna kind of focus on the tumor, which is on the left frontal lobe of my daughter's brain. It was pretty managed for a few years. So up until about the third year, we found out that the tumor had grown to about 3.3 centimeters. And I'll let you know how we kind of got to that point, right? So at about in 2016, around that time, we had been doing MRIs up until that point, and her tumor didn't grow. It was sustained, it was straight, it was fine. There was no actual continuous growth. So we asked the doctor if it was okay for her to get braces, because we knew that would affect obviously her getting her MRIs. So for our understanding, we were told, okay, yes, she can have her braces, but unfortunately, because she had braces, or we had to get metal braces, she wasn't able to get those MRIs for a few years, right? As she had her braces, and we were focusing on fixing her teeth. So around the third year, like it was probably like 2.5 years into going into the third year, she got a stiff neck. So we just thought that it was just her just having a stiff neck because she was in karate. So we thought maybe she sprained something. We started kind of treating it with heating pads and ice, but we saw that it wasn't getting better. So I started getting a little bit worried, because I was like, something's off. She was fine. She was mobilized. She was running around. She was doing her thing, but she just couldn't move her head properly. It was just stiff. So I said, okay, we gotta go speak to the neurologist, find out what's going on. We ended up going to see the neurologist. He said, let's do the MRI, but just note that this part of her face is going to be blown out. And I was like, what do you mean? He was like, no, meaning that the MRI is not gonna be able to catch around her mouth, which is where her braces were. And I was kind of frustrated, because I was like, I thought she couldn't get MRIs. And he said, no, she can get them, but that's going to be an issue. I was like, had I known that, I would have been consistent with the MRIs, but I didn't. I wasn't aware of that. So we ended up taking her in, took her to do the MRI, and we ended up finding out that her brain tumor had grown from it was like 1.8 to like 3.3. Actually, it probably was a little bit bigger, about 2.1, around there. So I was like at all, because I was so startled, because I didn't realize it had grown so much in a couple of years. So we ended up finding out that there was blockage. There was a cerebral spinal fluid blockage. So she did have a little bit of blockage. So they called me probably it was like Friday around 5 p.m. We had completed the MRI that earlier on that Friday. We were called in an emergency immediately right after, probably within a couple of hours. And they told us, hey, we need to get her in. She might need to do surgery. Make sure that you call your specialist, blah, blah, blah. And they gave us the information for the neurosurgeon. And we were freaking out, because at that point we were under the impression that she was going to have brain surgery. So needless to say, that was the scariest weekend of my life, because I was like, do we have to go in now? And when I spoke to the nurse, he's like, no, make an appointment. We'll see you on Monday. I'm not going to be able to wait till Monday. I am freaking out. They're like, calm down. It's not like a full blockage. It's very, very small partial blockage. That's why she has a stiff neck. but we will get her in first thing Monday. If we find the need that if you do have any emergencies, you see that she's struggling, bring her in right away, and we'll address it. If she needs surgery, then. But if you see it get worse, obviously bring her in. And I said, okay. So I was, needless to say, I was monitoring her like a hawk that weekend, like a hawk. So I brought her in. We saw the neurosurgeon. He went over the MRI with us, and he said, listen, these are the 3 options that we have. If we do surgery, there's no guarantee that we're going to be able to get everything out of there. So that means that the chances of it growing back are high. 2, if we do go that route, just note that she will struggle even further, and it'll be even harder for her because she's now going to be going through therapy. She'll have months and months of therapy and to recoup. So I was freaking out. I don't know. I just felt like, what are our other options? He said the other option is we can trial this medication, which was funny because I brought it up to him. I said, hey, how about everolimus? I read about this and I was doing a lot of research on it, and he said, yes, that's what I was going to tell you about. It's an enterofinator, and what it does is it blocks the protein in the actual tuber. So it shrinks it, or it restricts it from growing further. And in many cases, there's a lot of great cases where there's a lot of positive feedback and positive reviews about how it was actually shrinking the tuber to a point where even it was like non-existent almost. So I said, all right, can we trial that? Do you feel comfortable doing this? Because obviously, I didn't want to stop if we had to get surgery done because she was going to have major or critical issues with that tuber. Let's go in and do what we need to do. And he said, I feel comfortable in putting her on everolimus. All right. And he said, if there is an emergency or anything changes, you need to contact me immediately and we will go in. And if we have to do surgery, we will do surgery. The issue also with the surgery was that where the tuber was located, it was going to be difficult for the surgeon to get in there, right? So it was going to be a process not only to get in there, but also to try to take out as much of the tuber as he could. So there's a couple of factors with that. So we went home. We started her on 7.5 milligrams, that's the exact dose that she is now, 5 years later. Within the first year, the tuber went from 3.3 to about 2.8. Within the second year, it went down to about 1.8. Within the third year, it was about 1.5 right now. 1.4 and a half, 1.5. So, and it's steady. It's been steady since. So she's still on it. It's been a miracle. It's been a miracle for us and our family. It's been a game changer. Obviously, we were lucky and fortunate enough that we did not have to do any major surgery, any critical surgery. Had we waited any longer and we didn't do the MRI, I don't know where we would be today. I'm so glad that I thought to say, something's off. It's not just a sprained neck. We need to go in and do more. We need to do a little bit more digging into this. Had I not, it could have been catastrophic. I mean, when I say catastrophic, I mean it. Because that could have caused, any type of blockage in the cerebral fluid can cause permanent damage, permanent brain damage if it's not treated or it's not caught soon enough where it's not impacting the actual brain. So we were fortunate enough to get the right medication for her and to avoid even having to do surgery. Again, I don't recommend everolimus to everybody. Obviously, it's not for everybody. It just was something that worked for my daughter. So having the kids with TSC, it is on the list of, or whether your family member, whoever it is, it doesn't necessarily have to be your children, but what I found is that when I was doing my research before, and again, I want to make sure that that I reiterate the importance of doing your research before going to see a doctor. Being prepared is the key to a successful outcome when you're interacting with your doctor, because he or she might give you information that is beneficial, but it's not relevant to your actual issue, right? So making sure you understand what you have or your child, and researching the questions that you really know that you need to know and you need to understand. What do I have? How do we treat it? What has worked in the past? What doesn't work? What are your allergies even, right? I have to know every single medication that causes an allergic reaction to my daughters. If I don't, and I go in there and say, hey, my surgeon will try to put her on something and it interacts with something else that she's taking, or if she's allergic to it, you know, and I'm trying to give her something that's gonna actually make her worse. Go in there with your stuff. Make sure you get an agenda, get a small count, whatever it is. Take notes of all the medication that you're allergic to. Make sure that before he or she puts you on medication, your doctor puts you on medication, understand what the medication does. What are the side effects? If it's download an app. I actually have an app that allows you to check whether two medications interact with each other and can cause an issue, especially if it's medication that could affect you negatively. You know that information, or your child. Understand that medication, know what are the symptoms, what happened, or what was the reaction that occurred when you first started taking that medication. Just make sure you understand what works for you and what doesn't work for you. Because if you go into it blindly, not understanding what's going on, not understanding like how something affects you, you're never going to get to that point where you feel good, right? Because it's always going to be trying something new, because it's not working for you. You know, it's really important to understand your body, understand your child's body, whoever you're taking care of, understanding how their system works. It's taken me a long time to just find the right medications for my kids. You know, so it can be frustrating because I know it's a lot, especially when you have a child with TSC, because obviously, especially if it's, if it's affected the brain, right? Because the doctors try to find all these different types of medications to adjust them and to give you the right combination in order for you to actually find the one that works best for you and your family. And I get it. You're talking to someone that's 20 plus years in the game, so it took years and years of different trials of medications just to find the right combination to manage my youngest daughter's seizures. So just make sure that you understand your body. Make sure you jot down your questions. Make sure you understand what you're looking for. Make sure you understand what you need, right? If you don't feel well, taking a certain medication, your child's throwing up, nauseous, again, it goes back to just understanding yourself or understanding your family and finding what's best for them. Again, it goes back to just being prepared. Thank you guys so much for joining. I am focusing on doing fashion videos on Mondays, and Wednesdays I'll do my health checks, give you guys a little updates on my TSC and FSGS little family here. And I appreciate you taking the time out to check out my videos. Please don't forget to subscribe, share in the comments, give me your input. Don't forget to give me the thumbs up, and thank you again so much. And don't ever forget to focus through and evolve. Ciao.